Hey guys, this is Angel here, and today we have two of our lemon ice tomatoes that are ready to take off the plant. We have grown this previously the last couple years, and we like this tomato a lot, and it's usually our first producer, so this will be our first tomato of the year. We're going to go ahead and pull these off and let you
Our
see.
first major tomato. We've had some black cherry tomatoes and some sun gold tomatoes too. This tomato right here is, I believe, our neighbor's favorite. So we're in number 3. They're in number 5, a yard and 2 yards over. And we made sure we had this plant again for them this year. Really, really good tomato. What I do remember of it is it does have a little bit of a sour pucker taste that some people actually really like in tomatoes. So I would say if you kind of like a little bit of sour tartness, it's not really necessarily sour, it's just a little bit tartar, has a little bit of a zing to it, more than some of the other yellow sweets and tomatoes that we grow. But this is the lemon ice tomato. It's a neighbor's favorite.
We like it a lot too. It tastes really good. It has a good flavor.
From what I remember, it's mild, and it's one that's always reliable in the yard. So we got several more tomatoes on here that are growing. Several more up here. Several more. But it always produces quite a bit for us. It's always one that's kind of reliable to have in the yard, and it's always one that shows up pretty quick. It grows a little bit quicker. It is from the Dwarf Tomato Project, a dwarf plant, so the plant doesn't get very big.
But the tomatoes are really good size.
Yeah. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about the plant after we take this inside. And Angel was wanting to make a tomato sandwich, so she's probably going to make a tomato sandwich with those, and we're also going to have a chance to open these up and taste them for on camera. Really excited to get our video tomato testing videos and pepper videos going. So UT Angel and Kiddo, it is August 6th of 2023.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching.
Catch you in a second. All right, so once again, this is the Dwarf Lemon Ice Tomato. It is August 6th of 2023. A really, really excellent tomato. I want to remind everybody that we're not professionals. This is just me and Angel here trying a tomato from our small yard. This one right here I've been really impressed with in the past just because of its growth rate. It is a high producer. It produces pretty early. It's old reliable kind of. And I know a couple people that we have given these plants to that have grown them out that have done really well, but we're definitely not professionals. We're just winging it. The start of this video came from Angel wanting a tomato sandwich, having a couple out there ready, and we just grab the camera and get going. So a lot of what we say you should research if you are interested in this, and everything that we talk about is just our personal opinion in the moment as well. So here we go. Excited to get these tomato videos going. We love seeing Unique out in the yard, and this is a tomato that is really, it's got a cool name, it grows a cool plant, it produces quite a bit.
Yes.
A lot of people like the zing that usually came from these in the past, and with each individual grow, we can grow this tomato on one side of the yard and then on the other side of the yard and have two complete different opinions based on.
Do you want to taste?
You go first.
It does have a little bit of zing, but it is very mild when it comes to the acidity. Easier on the stomach than some other tomatoes. I really like the flavor of this tomato. It tastes good. It's hard to explain.
There you go ahead. Yeah, it does have that zing to it. It is always hard to describe, and me and Angel, we're not professionals, like I was saying, so I hope that somebody can get something from this video just based on our personal opinion. To me, it's hard to explain. It's got a zing to it, but it also has a mildness, you might say. It's almost like refreshing still. A lot of times when I eat, like, say, yellow pear tomatoes, I can only handle a few of those because the zing and the pop of a yellow pear cherry style tomato and several of the other cherries, The zing's a little too much. I like it. It tastes good, but I can't sit there and snack on a bunch of them. Even though this has a zing, I feel like I could snack on this one a little bit. It is somewhat of an acidic zing, but it also has a little bit of refreshing to it too. So it would make a great tomato for lots of different things. You could dice this up in a salsa, put it on tacos. Just a pretty well-rounded tomato. The meat in it is all right. It's not mealy. It's really, really juicy and smooth looking.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make good for tomato sandwiches, but personally for tomato sandwiches, I would like a little bit more meat in the center and stuff. So it's not so much as juice it is as it is like that. As far as making sauces and stuff like that, the extra juice might come in handy, but when it comes to salsas, I like them a little bit drier. I don't like so much liquid in them. And I like a little bit more meat when I'm slicing a tomato. That's why I like a lot of the purples, like Cherokee purple has a good meat inside the tomato and less juice. But this is a well-rounded tomato. You can use it for quite a few different things. It does have good flavor. It comes from the Dwarf Tomato Project via Victory Seeds. The Victory Seeds company is one. I'll probably try to post a link in the description specifically to their Dwarf Tomato Project tomatoes, which are small plants that have been kind of hybrid but then grown out until they have established seeds. So saving the seeds from this will produce this again. And this is actually from our saved seeds that's grown in our yard. So that might be another sign on why we usually don't have the best of grows, but some of our stuff does really, really well. It might have evolved to really grow well in our yard. It looks a little bit more of a heart shape. I was wondering about that in lieu of a lemon shape, but I think that the lemon comes from in the name comes from a little bit of the zing. There's also one that's called the Dwarf Golden Heart that looks really, really similar, a little more orangish than yellow than this, but the Dwarf Golden Heart is a lot sweeter. It doesn't necessarily have the zing that this one has. And some people, like I was saying, prefer that. I think Angel don't mind it too much. She likes a lot of really strong, rich flavor in her tomatoes, whereas in me, I like the more mild style of tomatoes. So an excellent tomato for sure.
Yes, I love the flavor of it, and I'm going to put this on a sandwich. I do like the zing of the tomatoes, the acidic, the acids, the flavor that comes from an acidic tomato. But yes, of course, I can't handle too much because then I get tomato burnout. But this has just a little bit of that, and like UT said, a refreshing taste and flavor to it.
I think our neighbor started liking this one so much because it was one of the tomatoes that were grown in the yard. So it was one of the first tomatoes from the plants that we'd been giving her for the past couple of years now. And when she tried it, it was different than store-bought tomatoes, and it has a little bit different than you might consider a super traditional tomato flavor. Right. If you are familiar with the yellow style tomatoes and the pale cream tomatoes, for example, and sometimes the orange, sometimes they can be super, super sweet, almost like sugary, and sometimes they can be super, super mild. This one seems to be one of the ones you would probably say would lean a little bit closer. It has a sweet, tangy bite to it, but not
too overpowering.
Yeah.
Well, this is the lemon ice, dwarf lemon ice tomato. First actual tomato from the yard this season.
I'll show them the plant in just a second.
Hope you guys enjoy the video. We love you and thanks for watching. See you in a sec.
See, you can get fancy bread. We're just going to use generic. We use generic mayonnaise. Angel's put mustard on it. I'm against that, but Angel's for it. Generic mustard. See, it isn't about the quality of the bread, the mayonnaise, or whatever else you put on the tomato sandwich. Whether or not makes it a good tomato sandwich is how good the tomato is. So the tomato will override anything. It don't matter if you have fancy bread. Don't matter if you have cheap generic bread. Fancy tomato makes all the difference. So love you guys. All right, so the dwarf lemon ice tomato, as you guys can see, it is crowded in the corner here. When we first started with it, we had it out here a little bit better in a better spot, but immediately it started to show us that it was going to start producing tomatoes on our what is turning out to be a slow tomato and pepper year for us. So it started showing up really, really well. I believe the plant that was in here previous was the one on the end here. It's the Dwarf Purple Heart. Moving it out here, it's doing a lot better, but not quite producing tomatoes yet. So we knew that this one would be a strong grow. We knew that it was going to be a bad spot. So as soon as it started showing that it was doing well, we moved it into this spot right here, knowing that it could hold its own. And sure enough, it's our best dwarf tomato producer so far. So there's several more up in here. Those ones will take off a lot more now that we got some of the other ones off of it. It'll inspire it to kind of kick off some more. So not really much to say. We've shown this one in videos before, and really, really like it. It's an excellent grow. If you guys are looking for a yellow tomato with a little bit of zing, a strong grower, look no farther. It's the Dwarf Lemon Ice tomato. I might have called it lemon spice earlier. I'm not sure, but it's the lemon ice, the Dwarf Lemon Ice. But cool tomato plant, cool name, cool grow. A good recommend from us. We're not professionals. I would suggest you look into it a little bit more if you might be interested in growing it. But really excited to have this one in the yard this year. Really excited to get our tomatoes growing and hang out with you guys, and catch you next time. Love you guys. Thanks for watching.